Yo voy a pausar esto de vez en cuando, pausarlo o detener. No quiero que se buguee. Bueno, un nuevo video más. Bueno, simplemente... Bueno... Es que no, ya voy a poner esto así para ver si... Ok. ¿Va todo bien? Bueno, porque es diferente grabar aquí que con un juego. Un videito de 1 hora, simple y sencillo. Bienvenidos a la entrevista Cawthon 2.0 de Dawko. Hace 4 horas la cuara. Yo pensaba que eso iba a salir mañana. Es que hoy debía de haber salido un anuncio de Steelwood, pero no sé, tal vez se atrasaron. Le dijeron a Dawko que adelantara esto debía salir el día 5, no el día 4. Pero bueno, ya puse los subtítulos en español y todo. Vamos allá.
Tell me what's in the box.
I think as the 10-year anniversary is upon us, I will give this as my gift to the fan base on this 10th anniversary. What's in the box is...
¿Qué? Ya va, lo que hay en la caja. Para los que no lo sepan, yo soy fanático de FNAF Freddy's. O sea, yo soy fanático de FNAF Freddy's. Pero al clavo me sé la historia, varias versiones de la historia, la película, los libros, los juegos, me sé casi todo. Sí, es que este videito puede cambiar la historia de FNAF Freddy's por completo.
Hi, Mabel.
Yeah, she's the best. What's going on, guys? Dawko back again. Hope you're fantastic
today.
And it's the 10-year anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's. It is August the 5th, which means if you've been looking at the list, what the official Twitter has been...
Ven, o sea, el día 1, Mike Pogo salió el juego, lo jugué, más bien ahorita saqué el segundo video. O sea, primero decía día 1, aniversario de FNAF, este va a decir día 5, le voy a poner día 4. Porque estamos en el día 4. El remake de Joyous Creation, en la demo, no es compatible por la gráfica con mi computadora. Pip. La pude haber traído, pero al ser una novela en inglés, quiero esperar que alguien la traduzca, porque no sé si es de paga el traductor de páginas. Y si lo es, pues bueno, no voy a pagar. Por eso espero que alguien la traduzca y que la publique. En ese momento la leo, aunque creo que son como 4 horas, son como 200 páginas. Pero por FNAF lo haría. Hoy salía el anuncio de Steelwood. Se debía haber atrasado, porque no creo que haya sido el de hace 2 semanas. Se debió haber atrasado y adelantaron esto. Entonces mañana puede ser el de Steelwood. Esto puede ser Fortnite. Esperando la demo, creo que debería jugarlo, es Clickting. Y bueno, lo potente llega el
Saying, it's the interview with Scott Cawthon, everybody.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? Dawko, good to see you again.
Yeah, it's 6 years since the last interview, right? Which is
5
crazy.
años la primera entrevista.
A lot of things have been happening since then, so let's go back a little bit. So the interview was August 2018. So after that, we got Help Wanted, Special Delivery, Security Breach, Help Wanted 2, Ruin DLC, so there's a lot going on. And of course the future games as well. Yesterday, Steelwood has announced something. I don't know what it is yet because we're recording this, a couple of months before. But guys, Whatever it was, I hope you're very excited for it. Future Dawko, Into the Pit as well. There's so much stuff to look forward to, and it's really cool that you've done like a week of exciting things for the 10-year anniversary. You know, we've never seen something like this before. 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is it's pretty crazy, right?
Man, I can't believe it's been so long since our last interview. That really seems like just it doesn't. How long did you say ago it was? 6 years ago? That's hard to believe. That's impossible.
Bueno, la primera entrevista se dio porque Dawko se pasó el 50-20 cuando Esco creía que era imposible.
Impossible to believe.
I know, right? I've actually got a song for you that I'm going to play for you to celebrate the 10-year anniversary.
Okay, no, this is getting things off to a kind of an awkward start, but I'll let you go on ahead.
Okay. Are you ready?
Wait, you're going to be performing. Wait, you're going to be performing this yourself, or is something recorded?
I've got the harmonica right here.
Oh, a harmonica. Okay, my favorite.
I've been practicing this song for over 32 years. Okay. So, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
¿Qué está haciendo? Ni Chichi ha hecho tanta locura.
Come on now, you started this.
Right, okay.
Un pito para cuando se pasa el 50-20.
Really good.
Está bien. ¿Pero qué es esto?
Now, I will admit that I couldn't actually hear that. I don't know if your thing was cutting the audio out.
Voy a poner
well, I actually
el Canal de
played a
Dawko
spell.
y el link del video original.
The spell is from
Y el canal
1864
de Scott Cawthon, que ahí yo creo que ese canal ya está abandonado.
Dewey Muscrewy.
Okay.
That spell has now hypnotized you to tell me all the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Toda.
Oh, jeez.
No,
No,
I thought we talked about this in advance.
Now listen. This is a bad idea to start talking about lore. All right, well, here, you'll have to give me specific questions, and I'll see what I can answer for you.
Preguntas específicas antes que decirte la historia.
No
entiendo.
Scott,
porque ni él sabe cómo quiere terminar de hacer la historia al 100%. Aún sigue siendo
direct. Just out and direct, just like that.
Modificó la posición de FNAF.
It's the 10-year anniversary. Okay. And even though I like to be elusive, I like to kind of tease the fan base. I like to, and I do like there to be an air of mystery about things. Kind of tease the fan base. I like to, and I do like there to be an air of mystery about things. Sometimes I do let things go on for too long. And I understand that sometimes things become not fun anymore, and things can become frustrating for theorists. So, okay, I think as the 10-year anniversary is upon us, I will give this as my gift to the fan base on this 10th anniversary. What's in the box is
lo que hay en la caja. Conexión perdida. No.
Damos la bienvenida a un nuevo crossout.
No, un anuncio, no.
Un juego de acción multijugador gratuito sobre batallas en vehículos.
Iba a decir lo que iba a dar. Lo de la caja.
Oh my god.
And that's about it. And that's it, man.
So like we've been speaking.
¿Qué hay en la caja? O sea, te lo dijo Dawko. Dawko sabe también lo que hay en la caja aparte de esto.
Speaking about 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a crazy amount of time. I can't believe we're still here. It's been such a journey. So I just wanted to ask you, do you have a highlight moment for the whole 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's since 2014?
I think there have definitely been a lot of satisfying moments. Like obviously, if whenever one of the new games would come out and it would be positively received, that was obviously a huge relief. You know, there's never been any goal other than just giving everybody what they were really hyped up about, because you know when you see everybody getting hyped up and getting excited, if suddenly something comes out that just is a big letdown, there's no greater fear, I think, for a game developer. So that was always satisfying and a relief. But I think the biggest highlight was probably just going to the movie theater to watch the movie when it finally came out, because you know, behind the scenes of all of the games throughout the years,
Está bien.
and behind the scenes of all the books
Que
being
haya la
written and
caja,
everything
Scott.
else,
Que
there
haya
was
la caja,
always the
Scott.
movie. The movie was just a slow burn project, even just starting as late as 2014.
¿Tú cuánto dura?
So that has been in
56
the
minutos.
background,
Esto dura bastante.
being, progressing for almost the entirety of that. No, not almost the entirety of that first 9 years. So to be able to actually go sit in the theater and hear the reaction from everybody and hear the fans really enjoy it, that was definitely that was definitely a moment of just real happiness for
Oye,
me,
el
I
fondo
think.
pasó de
Literally
ser
9
la de
years,
FNAF
you know,
a-
having ups and downs, you know, getting
Bueno,
the
van a tener
script
que ir
right as
leyendo porque no
well.
me
I
voy
know
a
you've
poner
said
a-
on post before you've had so many
a leer
scripts
lo que están
made for the
diciendo
movie. The plushies in
Porque es
Manhattan or something, that was one of the scripts. So
Yeah, it was.
yeah, I can imagine how, you know, difficult it's been, like trying to get it all done. You know, I can just imagine. Well, I can't imagine it because I'm not you, but you know, when me, Raz, and Ryan and Baz went to a premiere for it and sat down at the cinemas, and we all looked at each other at the end, and we had to we couldn't believe it, and we didn't even make the games. We've been there
Entonces
since,
van a hablar
you know,
ahorita de la
basically
película.
day one, but we all said, like, imagine how Scott's feeling right now, you know, just sitting down and seeing it actually, you know, on the big screen. It must be a crazy feeling.
Yeah, and now that I've been through the process, I can tell you that it's a miracle that any movie gets made just being through that process. Just how many wheels have to be turning at the same time.
¿Qué hace el peluche de Glistra para
And how many things, and even though this process took a long time for me, Hollywood works at just blazing speed where there's 100 things happening at the same time, and it's a miracle if these things get coordinated. And sometimes things don't work out, but sometimes they do. On the day that I was driving to New Orleans and the shooting was supposed to start the next day, on that drive, I was on the phone. It was like a 5-hour drive from where I was. I was on the phone the entire time trying to finish contracts and finish negotiating points because there were still open items with there were still things that needed to be resolved with Universal, Blumhouse, the Actors Guild, the Writing Guild. There were just Louisiana. There were all of these things, and any one of them not being settled properly would mean we couldn't start filming. And all of those conversations were happening at the same time, and all of them depended on one of the other ones. And so that was a very stressful drive, but that's just the way that Hollywood works. There's a million things happening at once. It was definitely a whirlwind, but to see all of those pieces come into place, yeah, it was pretty remarkable. And yeah, like you were saying, just all of the scripts, starting just with 2015, there were a couple of deals that weren't very good that I'm very fortunate didn't pan out. But then whenever I was with Warner Brothers briefly, that was a good deal, and I was very, very grateful to have that. But even that, whenever the stars seemed to have aligned, things just didn't work out there either. And so I was really fortunate to meet up with Jason Blum and get to have that deal with Blumhouse. They had a lot of faith in the project, and they were following my lead on a lot of things, sometimes to a fault, because lots of times I would throw things out and want to start over. But, they were with me the whole journey. They were with me, and they believed in the vision. And everybody just had the fans at heart. That's all anybody wanted to do. Everybody was just making sure that every part of the movie would be something that the fan base would look at and recognize or relate to or connect with. And I think in the end, we were able to accomplish that. And I'm just really happy with that. And I think we landed with just the perfect cast, which, again, that almost didn't happen either. There were a couple of instances where someone else was about to get a part, and then something would happen that would make that not work out, and then someone better would step in. And I've said this to my contacts at Blumhouse numerous times just over this last 6 months, even since the movie came out, thinking, aren't we glad that we got like Josh Hutcherson for this role? Like, isn't it great we had Elizabeth Lale for this role? Isn't it awesome we had Matthew Lillard for this role? Isn't it great we ended up with Piper Rubio for this role? Like, every single person that we ended up with was just absolutely perfect in those slots, and everybody was just a delight to work with. Once again, since I'm new to kind of the film industry, I got to talk to people about their other experiences on other projects, and it can be really scary because usually, from what I understand, every production has one one member of the cast or one person on staff or just one person that causes problems or something like that. We didn't have anything like that. Nothing like that. Everybody was just phenomenal. They were just a joy to work with, and getting to go to filming was really fun. So it was a really fun experience, and in the end, I'm just happy that the fans were happy with it. Now, that's not to say the film didn't have it's places where it could have been improved, and we're all and me and Emma and Jason Blum, we're definitely chat about that and looking to make sure the second movie is a step up and an improvement. So lots of good things to look forward to, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, you're right about the reaction. The fans absolutely loved it. Like, we all can't wait for the next movie. It's so exciting, and I'm so glad it's actually happening as well. So yeah, exciting times. So yeah, you said that you've got a highlight of the 10 years of FNAF. If you could go back and change one thing in those 10 years, do you have anything that you would change? You can't say.
Yo solo cambiaría que, ¿cómo era que se llamaba este? Que Deimos dijera, chica es la única animatrónica. El que entendió.
The box.
No, the one thing I would change, I wish I could go back and have one more shot at FNAF World. I really, really do. I know it still would probably definitely be the oddball in the series, no doubt. And maybe it would still have been a poor decision in general, but there were just a lot of bad decisions made at the beginning of that project that doomed it from the start. Like, I was making it with mobile in mind, so it was a really low resolution. I was thinking about it as a game on the phones. I tried to make the whole game on one frame in Click Team Fusion. That just means I wasn't allowing it to be as big as it could have been. I was trying to cram it all together for my own convenience. There were just several decisions that were made that really hindered that. And also, I was in a rush because I was getting a little arrogant, thinking that, hey, anything I make is going to be gold, and I definitely ate some humble pie with that really, really quick, and I learned that is not the case. And so I've tried to be very careful not make that mistake again after that. But yeah, if I could go back and change one thing, I wish I could maybe work with a different developer and just really make it a high resolution game, get in some really good graphics, maybe get someone else to help me with those graphics, and it could have been a good game. Who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line, if I get really antsy about it and have a lot of free time on my hands, maybe FNAF 2 or FNAF World 2 might be a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say that. You could still.
¿Tú te imaginas que haga una especie de DLC o algo en FNAF World, porque es donde estaba tocando en la gama de Steam, porque está tocando en Steam, y vuelve a aparecer FNAF World y que aparezca FNAF World 2 de forma de paga, una Day 3 o algo así.
We'll get a different company to do a FNAF World game. It's not over yet. I think I've said this to you before. I love FNAF World. I think it is so underrated, and I always say FNAF World is underrated. I love it so much. There's just a charm to it. I really do. And I know you don't like it, but I absolutely love it, man. I really do. I love everything about it.
If I had allowed myself to work on it for one more year, just like really double its development cycle and let it be a high res game, I bet it would have really been something. But like I said, who knows? Maybe for the sequel someday.
Let's move on to Steelwall, the amazing Steelwall studio.
Voy a pausar un momento. Esto está increíble, Bueno, ya se ha hablado de varios temas. Mucha broma al inicio, casi nos dicen lo de la caja. Ya han hablado de la película y de FNAF World. A ver qué van a decir.
That was the next game after Ultimate Custom Night, Help Wanted. One of my favourite games in VR. I absolutely loved it. What has it been like working with Steelwall? Were you nervous about it? Because I know it's a big thing to, give a company your baby, basically, and let them do what you've been doing for the past 5 years. How was it the first time letting someone else work on FNAF?
I was really nervous about it. I was really nervous. I went several years still doing it by myself, even after I had the financial ability to pay other people. Again, I wasn't in that mentality of being able to do that. So even though I could have done that, I was still doing things just all by myself, all the way through Pizzeria Simulator.
Yeah.
But by then it was I knew that it was getting too much for me. I knew that I had to find another partner for it, and I was scared of that because there are stories all over the internet available about just games that went completely wrong because of games being mismanaged in the hands of development companies. And I'm sure that all of their pitches on the surface would have sounded the same, but I really got lucky. For that reason, I really feel like I got lucky, because whereas I probably could have accidentally ended up with a company that did botch something, I didn't. I think I really honestly believe that I landed with the best, just one of the best development companies. They've been just a pleasure to work with, and they've done a really great job. This last one they did, Ruin, I thought it was just so much fun, and I think that might be my favorite thing that they've made was Ruin, and the things that they have planned, which I'm not going to talk about right here, but the things that they have planned are really exciting too. So yeah, I've been really happy. It's been a really good experience. Well, I'll tell you, on Help Wanted, I was going to throw in, I'm happy with how Help Wanted came out, because at the time, and I don't have this anymore. I don't have a VR setup anymore. But whenever the first Help Wanted came out, I did have a VR setup. So I was able to beta test, and of course I was leading the charge to want to beta test my own games. I got into the Funtime Auditorium and I noped out of it. I took the headset off, and I immediately got on the phone with Steel One and said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to test it. You test it. You're going to test it. You'll find someone else to test it. I didn't even get jump scared by Foxy. I was just in there in the darkness, and I knew I wasn't going to do it. And I never played it again. And I never played Help Wanted. And I never played Help Wanted 2 either. And I'm not going to.
People need to understand it though, right? Because in the past, like when I've obviously done videos on Help Wanted 1 and 2, I get a comment saying like, it's not that scary, you're overreacted, it's not that bad. But you don't know until you've literally put on the headset, right?
Yeah.
It's completely different, just watching it from a screen compared to having the actual headset on. It's terrifying.
Yeah, completely different experience.
My other question, Glitch Trap is one of my favourite characters in FNAF now. I absolutely love Glitch Trap.
¿Puede aclarar qué pasó con
Glitch Trap
Glitch?
as a whole, with the development of Help Wanted?
I love the character, and I know that this is kind of one of the places where I know there's a little bit of a divide with maybe me and the fan base, or maybe just within the fan base, because I always lean sci-fi. I have a tendency to lean sci-fi, even though I like that.
Ya va. Scott, ¿qué estás diciendo? Espérate, Scott, ya te tienes que aclarar. Tú dijo que había como una división entre él y los fans, pero luego dijo que la división está en los fans. Y sí, los fans creen uno que es de Mimic y otro que es William Afton. Scott, la primera frase yo había pensado, hostia, que no es ni de Mimic ni William, es otra cosa. O sea, dije, al final la teoría de que Shadow Bonnie se va a hacer realidad. Pero no, ahorita claro de que es solo una división de los fans, porque eso es así. O sea, hay una pequeña persona que también creen que es... Pero no creo que esté enterado de que hay personas que crean que puede ser Shadow Bonnie también. Aunque ese fue Hope el que andaba diciendo eso. No, ya tiene que... Scott sabe si es quién es realmente. Scott sabe si es de Mimic o si es William Afton. Y lo pudo haber dicho aquí, pero no lo dije. Y más bien casi aclaró algo, porque si no nos íbamos a confundir mucho más. Porque nuestra opinión es que es William Afton o de Mimic. Y él dijo que era una discordancia con todos los fans y él. Qué bueno que lo acaba de decir que era solo de los fans. Porque si decía de él, es que nos tiraba a los dos posibles personajes. Tendríamos que buscar otro para suplirlo. O sea, sería una locura. O sea, decir un personaje nuevo como de Mimic o algo así, una locura. Iba a ser una locura. Qué bueno que lo corrigió. Me acabo de quedar loco.
I try to come back into the roots of the supernatural instead. but I can't help my inclination to lean sci-fi. So anything that involves possession of AI or possession of machines or circuitry, that I love that sort of thing. So I love the idea of glitch trap. I'm not a huge fan of the name, and here's the way that these things happen. Okay, and this happened with Burn Trap too. Whenever I'm in the planning phase with Steel Wool, we come up with temporary names for these characters. Whenever we're doing the pre-production document, I'll say, he's glitchy. Call him Glitch Trap. Oh yeah, he's Burn. We'll just call him Burn Trap. But then those names get embedded in the source code because they use those temporary names also. And once they're in the source code, and once someone finds them in the source code, that's it. Like that's the canon name now, and there's nothing I can do about it. And hopefully we're learning our lessons going forward to maybe find I don't know, to just hone in on a better process there. Because yes, I love the character, not a huge fan of the name, but it is what it is for now. It's the name.
I love Glitch Trap's name. Can you think of a name, like, on the spot, like what you would want to call him or not?
Oh, I have no idea. But you know what? A good example is Nexus, from Ruin. Now, that was a character where, even in just my design of the game, I thought that through, and I came up with that. And I'm really happy with it. I really like that name. It's a really cool name. But now, see, if I didn't have one of those ready to fire off, I might have thought up something like, I don't know, Purple Trap or AI Trap, or just something temporary, and then that would have been the canon name. That would have been so much worse than Nexus. So
after Help Wanted, we got Security Breach. Were you happy with the release of Security Breach when it first came out?
Security Breach, there's a really big story behind that. That was definitely a challenging period, and a lot of things just didn't.
Ok, a estas alturas ya muchas personas te han tratado de convencer de que instales OpenIX, el navegador gamer por
line up perfectly for that, and there were a lot of reasons for that. I mean, obviously, I hear lots of studios and things kind of blame COVID for stuff, but there is a reason for that. COVID took well-structured work systems and suddenly scattered them and expected the work to continue to flow, and it just doesn't work that way. From my understanding, I'm pretty sure most, if not every, member of Steel Wool got scattered across the country, and were trying to just carry on with the workflow. And it was just really difficult. I think that's really the only example when my idea of how a game was going to go was misaligned with how things were going with Steel Wool, and I had a specific story for this in mind. Okay, for Security Breach, I really did. I had a very specific story in mind, and it is very different than the one that got in the game. And I think a part of that is the way that I conveyed that to Steel Wool, because what I was trying to do was I was trying to tell Steel Wool to do specific things throughout the game, put specific items in specific places, have specific characters do certain things, meanwhile not telling them what the story plot was. Because in my head, I was thinking, okay, when people find this, they will connect this to this to this, and it will all be revealed. And I thought I could do that without telling Steel Wool the story plot. That didn't work out very well, because they got all of these pieces and they thought it was their job to connect them in a way that made sense. And so really what you ended up having were the same pieces but telling completely different stories. And since I was trying to kind of tell a specific story with mine that went a certain direction, they were taking pieces I didn't fully understand and trying to craft a story out of them. And again, I don't blame them for that. I blame myself for that, because I guess what I should have done is just said, hey, here's the story. Here's why these pieces are here. Here's how they're supposed to connect. And I can give you a really easy example for this. And I'm hesitant to say this because I don't like messing with the lore, but I think in this case, it's okay. When it comes to Burn Trap, originally, Burn Trap was never supposed to move. He was supposed to just be something you saw in the corners, or like if you were walking past machinery, you might be able to peek in between two things and see him in the corner or propped up against a wall, almost like a some kind of decaying movie prop, and you never fully understood what his purpose was. And he had a very specific purpose, and I'm not going to say what that purpose was, but realistically, he never moved. Well, obviously that's not what we got in Security Breach. In Security Breach, we got a capsule opening and purple smoke flowing out, and him climbing out and coming to get you. And so it's just not quite the same thing. So, but anyway, it didn't turn out the way anybody wanted. But hey, whenever that happens, just like whenever I stepped in it a little bit with FNAF World, me and Steelwool got together. We were like, look, all that matters now is making things right by the fan base. That's all that matters. We all had the best intentions going on. We all wanted to make a good product, and we went in and we made Ruin for it, and I hope that redeemed the game, and I feel like it did, because I think it was really great. And anything that we do going forward that continues that story or has.
Bueno, lo que pasó es que se atrasó mucho Security Breach, y entre lo de la pandemia lo complicó mucho. Si hubieran atrasado un año más el juego, o unos meses más, porque salió en diciembre, pudo haber salido unos meses más, pudo haber sido un mejor juego, porque pudieron haber subido un poco más la dificultad, bajarle el brillo a varias otras zonas, añadir más versiones de minijuegos. Por ejemplo, la idea original del multiball, la idea original de lo del karting de Roxanne, y sobre todo la batalla contra Ultram era de 3 fases. La primera era una batalla contra Bunny, la segunda contra los animatrónicos, los Blackrock destrozados, no recuerdo cómo es que se llamaban ahorita mismo, y la batalla final contra Ultram. Esa era la idea original. Al final fue recortado por el tiempo de desarrollo, que fue limitado por culpa de la pandemia, y aparte ya se había atrasado el juego.
As the same themes, I think we're just going to be in a much better situation to continue on.
So, the Rune DLC came out a year ago now, which is crazy to think about. Time's going so quickly, and the fan reaction to that was amazing. Everybody loved it, and everybody's looking forward to what's next. The ending of Ruin, with a specific character that came out, a new character into the games, the Mimic. Any thoughts on the Mimic?
I cannot share any thoughts on the Mimic, other than I really like that character. This is a character that I really like and I'm really excited about. I think it's a really terrific antagonist, and I don't think it's the last that we've seen of the Mimic. That's all I'll say.
Yes. With that, do you have a favorite character in the Steelwool era of games?
I mean, Music Man is too obvious of an answer, right? I mean, I think all those characters turned out great. In fact, I think this is why it's hard to pick a favorite, because all of them turned out so well. I've always really liked Vanny as a character. I don't think that Vanny was utilized to her fullest potential, and so hopefully we'll see another opportunity for Vanny to return as well. We'll see.
Ooh, okay. Moving on to the books. So the books have been amazing. I've been doing little summary videos on the channel with Fazbear Frights. That was awesome. How has it been working on Fazbear Frights?
It's actually really enjoyable. It's probably one of the most enjoyable things that I do, because I just get to think up a really scary scenario, and then I create maybe a 10 to 15 page story out of it, and then I have writers that I work with, obviously, and they take that and they really flesh it out and fill it out and add the details and turn it into a full-length story, and I get to kind of just really see it come to life. So it's been really enjoyable, and that's something that I really enjoy. It's funny, because it's one of those things where, as long as I know that's something that's happening in my life, I might be at the gym, or I might be watching the show, and then suddenly something will come to mind, and I'll be like, oh man, this is gonna make a great story, and I get right home and I start working on it.
Do you have a favorite story out of all of them?
I think my favorite story it's probably Bunny Call. I know that's kind of an oddball choice, but there's a reason for it, because some of these stories are based on my real life experiences. Bunny Call is not completely made up. I used to take my family to a family summer camp. Okay, this is my two oldest boys were maybe 11 and 12 at the time, No. I bet they were 13
A
or
ver,
14.
no los he
It's hard to
leído
remember
casi
exactly when this
ninguno.
was.
Leí el primer libro en español,
But
pero
then
se
I
lo
had
conseguí por
younger
aquí
two that were just babies
oficialmente el
still.
libro en español. Es lo
And
único que
whenever we
leí
showed
por
up at
página.
camp, and we were all in the auditorium signing up for
Cuando salgan todos, tal
activities,
vez
it was
los compre y los
rafting
lea.
and boating. One of the things you could sign up for was a panda call. Okay. And a panda call it's a very deceiving title, because what that meant is that early in the morning, a bunch of the camp counselors dressed as killer clowns would come into your cabin and scare the crap out of your kids to wake them up early and drag them off to their daily activities. And so I signed up my two oldest, Ian and Braden, my old beta testers, for whenever they, all their lives testing my games. I signed them up for it. I thought, oh yeah, this will be kind of fun. It was kind of fun until the next morning started rolling around. I started thinking about what I'd done, because then the next morning I woke up at 5 in the morning and I realized they're out there somewhere. Like this is happening right now. And I started listening for screams, and I started listening for noises, and I even snuck out and went outside, and it was dark and there were crickets chirping, and I was looking around and I just thought to myself, somewhere out here in the dark in these trees are a bunch of clowns, and they're coming to my cabin. and it was a really, really scary sensation. And so I just went back inside and I looked at my family sleeping. I looked at my baby sleeping and my kids and my wife, and I was like, what have I done? What have I done? Of course it ended up not being a big deal, because then I just heard a soft knock at the door and I opened it and there was a row of killer clowns. I said, never mind, you guys, and they just walked on. And so it wasn't a big deal, but it was still a really eerie feeling like I had signed up for something that I'd regretted and I couldn't undo it, And so I based Bunny Call on that.
Oh, that's awesome. You said that you've got relatable stories. Do you have a relatable story with Fazgoo?
Look,
I said that you've got relatable stories. Do you have a relatable story with Fazgoo?
Look, okay. Listen, anytime there's a series of a whole bunch of different things, you're going to have some that are great, and then some there's like, well, like what was going on with this? I don't know how to explain the Fazgoo. I'm sure I had something in mind that was really great, but they can't all be winners. Now I will say a couple of the other ones that had real life connections. Sometimes you hear about people talking about their sleep paralysis demons or whatever. That's never really made sense to me, but now it kind of makes sense to me, and I don't know why it does. Yeah, every once in a while, a person you'll wake up, but you'll still be paralyzed in your sleep, and for some reason, I guess in that moment, you're still half dreaming, and so you have a tendency to still maybe see something before you fully wake up. And the Blackbird creature was mine. That creature on the cover of Blackbird is my sleep paralysis demon, because I was on vacation, I was by myself, and I don't know what the circumstances were. I feel like I was taking a midday nap, but I woke up with a jolt, and for a split second, I saw that thing standing over me, and I couldn't move, and my body was tingling, and I was just frozen up, and I was just so disoriented after that. But I never forgot that, and I knew immediately after that, it's like, I've got to get this into a story somewhere, like this crazy looking creature.
That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I've never had sleep paralysis, so I don't know what my creature would look like, but I hope it doesn't look like that.
I don't think it's a normal experience. I don't think it's an experience you should want to have. I don't feel like it's a healthy thing. So if that hasn't happened to you, I think you're in a good place.
Do you have a least favorite story?
I don't know. I think it probably might be the Fazgoo, or no. I mean, come on. It's got to be the one where the guy gets pregnant with Springtrap's baby. I'm not sure what I was thinking about. Again, that's one of those things where, oh man, this is going to be really creepy. But then you step back and look at it from afar, and you're like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And I swear I wasn't picking on MatPat. That wasn't a story designed with MatPat in mind. It really, really wasn't. Listen, whenever you're doing these stories for this long, eventually you just run out of names, and you're going to cover all the names,
Yeah.
Eventually I'll get around to Dawko, and so if you see Dawko in one of these stories, it's not something personal, it's just because I ran out of names,
I don't know, Dawko is a very specific name that you'd have to get to.
I probably have a few more to go through before I get to that, so you don't have anything to worry about.
When doing my summer reviews, and I know a lot of people say the same, people who loved Goosebumps, when
Bueno, mira, simplemente No me voy a dar mala vida. Para la mitad del video, vamos a poner un poquito más.
When they were kids, find these really relatable, right? And I know kids at school now read Fazbear Frights like they're Goosebumps books. And as a kid, my favourite TV show was Goosebumps. Would you ever think about or like the idea of Fazbear Frights ever being like a TV show like Goosebumps, where it's like a series of some of the best stories or something adapted?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's something that can definitely happen, especially now that the first movie came out and was successful. I think that really opens the door to lots of other potential opportunities. The only thing to be mindful of is I don't want to oversaturate the market and just create too much. And I think that sometimes we get a little bit of that where franchises have movies and too many TV shows and it just kind of waters everything down. But I really do like that idea, and it is definitely something that could happen.
Siente todo el poder de las armas en Enlisted, el juego gratuito de acción en línea a gran escala sobre batallas en el frente de las...
For sure.
Awesome. So the next segment is the FNAF movie. I've got some questions for you, Scott. First off, I absolutely loved the movie, as you know, and I know a lot of people did as well. The fans absolutely loved it, and it did really well at the box office as well. Super successful. Congratulations to you, Blumhouse, Universal. So yeah, first question is, how was working on the first FNAF movie after waiting for so long, after announcing it back in 2015? Well, you emailed me back in 2015 about it. I still remember that email. But yeah, how was it?
It took a really long time to get off the ground, really just because of the screenplay. But after the screenplay was really locked in, from there, all the wheels started turning. You know, all the engines fired and it took off, and it was a really fun experience from there. And really the screenplay just had a lot of challenges because of what it was, and it's really, you know, throughout all of those years I worked with a lot of different directors, a lot of different writers, a lot of really talented people that eventually would end up leaving the project, but still really talented people. And it was really just a matter of there's just material that's difficult to translate to the screen. And one of the biggest issues is the animatronics, obviously being the monsters in the monster movie. If I were to approach any writer of a horror movie or any director and say, okay, here are your monsters, go make a monster movie with them, that's easy. You know, you give them all a knife, you go in, you just make your generic slasher, but just have it be, you know, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy doing the slashing. The nuance here is that these animatronics are possessed by the spirits of kids. And these are innocent kids. These are victims themselves. So it's very, very difficult to still have a horror movie, still have those kills that you need, but still preserve the innocence of those kids. And it's a really difficult thing to do. And there were several screenplays that did not hit that mark. And I think I was more cautious about that and more picky about that than anything else. If kind of the innocence of those spirits was not preserved properly, I wasn't going to go forward with it. And so, you know, one quick example is the way that we were able to have a couple of kills in the movie was obviously the vandals. You know, you have a group of people who are breaking in, they're disrespecting the place, they're trashing the place, they're there with bad intentions, and then you combine that with the fact that these animatronics are, you know, the spirits in them are these kids that are basically very confused and lost, animals backed into a corner, and kind of left with this impression that adults are out to get them, and you have these violent adults breaking in. And so it allows you to have that kill count while still being like, well, I can kind of see how that might happen. It was a tricky thing to do, but I think we were able to accomplish that.
Manipulated by William Afton still as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. The drawing on the wall was also kind of this layer, this blanket of manipulation over them all. So all of those things combined, you could see how these actions could happen while it not necessarily being the fault of the kids.
With the fort scene as well, I loved the fort scene. I know some people were a bit confused by that, like why are they building a fort, but I got it straight away. You know, you just want to show the audience that they're just kids, right? You know. Were you happy with the first movie and how it came out?
Yes, I am. I am very happy. I mean, look, anytime anybody, I think pretty much anybody who's been through a process like this would be able to look back. And I do this with my games too. You look back and you're like, well, I wish I'd tweaked this. Oh, maybe this could have been like this, or maybe this could have been like that. But you have to just really take a step back and look at it as a whole, and where it came from, all the things that could have gone wrong, and all the things that went right, and just be really grateful that so many things just fell into place. You know, and I can give you a really quick example of why I don't want to second guess too much. You know, at the 11th hour of this movie coming together, we still really didn't have a music composer, and I'd really wanted an animated intro. I was really pushing to have that 8-bit animated intro, but we didn't have anybody, and really not really anybody, to have an idea of what kind of music we were looking for. 11th hour, Newton Brothers come in and they write out that banger of a track, like absolute insane. Like I listened to that the first time and I was like, wait a minute, do I have a theme song? Does Five Nights at Freddy's have a theme song? You know, and I called Emma Tammy on the phone. I was like, wait, do we have a theme song now? Like, I can't tell you how excited I was over that. And you better believe you're going to hear that again at the beginning of the second movie too. I mean, like that was just so incredible. The Newton Brothers just knocked that out of the park. So yeah, so many things went right that I don't think I.
Esperen que por tocar cosas ahora. Opciones, tamaño de fuente 100%. Este era el que estaba, ok, listo. Ya lo arreglé. No vuelvo a tocar los botones de aquí a la pantalla, ya iba a ser un desastre.
I'm going to dwell too much on what I would go back and try to do differently.
As we know, the movie was a major hit in 2023, super successful. The biggest horror movie of 2023 as well. How does that feel, seeing that happen?
It's nice. That part is nice. It's more important to me that if the critics had loved it, but the fan base was grumbling and saying, "Wait, this isn't how it is in the lore. Wait, we didn't like this. I don't like how they did this, and this," and the fan base was unhappy, that would be a failure to me. I'm perfectly happy with all the critics hating it and the fan base reacting positively to it. So yes, it is nice that the movie was successful. However, that is not the correct metric by which to judge the success of this movie. And in fact, opening night was Thursday night, where I am. I went to the very first showing, and the theater was pretty much empty. There were only a couple other people in there, but it was a 1 o'clock showing. So, but still, I saw that as kind of a bad sign. But I just watched it anyway. Then I went to the next showing, which was just later in the evening, and I told myself I wasn't going to go online. I wasn't going to read any reviews. I had already told everybody at Blumhouse, and I told my legal team, don't talk to me, don't call me, don't email me, don't send me charts, don't send me facts or figures. I don't want to hear anything about anything. I'm going through this whole weekend blind. I just want to experience what everybody else is experiencing. Well, before I went into that second showing, I was just by myself. And then later that evening, my whole family was coming into town, by the way. My whole family was going to come in town and watch the movie with me that night. But this showing I was still sitting by myself. I was checking my email and I accidentally saw one of the reviews. And I saw that it was terrible. And that opened the floodgates, and I went and started reading all of the other reviews. And I immediately texted my family saying, don't come, don't come, this is over, I want to be by myself. And I was already thinking in my head, like, how am I going to write a letter to Blumhouse apologizing for this? How am I going to write a letter to the fans apologizing to this for just wasting everybody's time? And I was just incredibly depressed. But somehow Jason Blum caught wind of this. I don't know who I asked the question to or what I said. But he started just bombarding me with text messages saying, Scott, the fans love it. The fans love it. The movie's a big hit. Everything's great. He was just in all caps, everything all caps. My phone was just blowing with all caps texts, and so he really talked me through that to try to encourage me that even though the critics hated it, there was a lot. There was a lot to be loved there by the fans. And so then I had my family come into town anyway, and we just sat in a packed theater and listened to the cheers and enthusiasm. It really lifted my spirits. But for a couple of hours there, man, I was pretty distraught. I thought the whole thing was just a complete disaster.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't. It all worked out okay. It all worked out okay.
Yeah.
And again, the movie's not perfect. There's definitely room to improve. But yeah, I'm definitely happy that it was in general received well by the fan base.
The second movie, which is, it's been announced that it's going to be coming out in 2025. Is it December 2025?
Yeah, December 5th, 2025, I think.
Is there anything exciting to talk about on the second movie? Anything you want to say?
I'm not going to give away too many details. But I will say that I'm following kind of the same formula where the first movie is focused on the first game, so I'm going to try to carry on that tradition onward with future movies, and I think that is absolutely the way to go, and I think everyone's going to be really, really excited for what's planned for the second one. The first one was really challenging because it's so much setup. It's like, how do you establish all of this? But now that we have that launch pad, where to go from there came a lot just more natural. It felt a lot more natural. And we were able to really craft just a really great story, I think. And I'm really excited about it. And I won't say anything more, but I'm really hopeful that everyone's going to really love what's going to come around December 2025.
Yeah, so exciting. And is Emma back and everything?
Oh yes, yeah, well? Emma's going to be back. She did such a great job on that first one,
Yeah, that's really good, having the same director. So now we're going to be talking about Into the Pit, the new game that's coming out on Mega Cat Studios. We just got the trailer, another trailer a couple like last week, and it looks amazing. It looks so good. How has it been working on the game based on a Fazbear Fright story?
It's definitely been a unique experience. I first started talking to Meg. It's been years and years since that game has been in development, and originally it was just supposed to be a little novelty one-off. It's like, oh yeah, here's this little company that makes 16-bit cartridges, and that was immediately appealing to me because I'm all about the Super Nintendo, and so if I could make something that would come on the Super Nintendo cartridge, sign me up. That was the most exciting thing, the most exciting product that I'd ever worked on. It was still just supposed to be a novelty, but as the development went on, everybody was looking at it thinking, this looks pretty good. This actually looks really good. And so they just kept on going with it. They could have stopped a lot sooner. They could have stopped with just a little simple novelty game, but they just kept going. And I kept looking at thinking, yeah, keep going. And they kept going, and I would keep looking at it. It just turned into this big, full-fledged, full-sized game. So we obviously decided to venture away from strictly the cartridges, so that everybody can be able to play it on Steam and everything. But it's really unique. This is a really, really unique game, and I do love that it really gets into just this really gritty these kind of gritty graphics that I haven't seen since the late 90s, whenever you had those point and click type adventures and you had that real kind of that pixelated art style that can be really creepy at times. I don't know. It's going to be a really unique experience, and I think that everyone's going to really be excited about it. I really do.
Awesome. I can't wait to play it. How has it been working with Mega Cat Studios then?
Oh, it's been great. It's been really great. I really haven't had to give them I mean, I have had to give them direction, but for the most part, it's been weird. They would go into the hole for 6, 7, 8 months at a time, and I wouldn't hear anything from them. To the point where I thought, "Is this okay?" And I would even, I talk to the other people that I work with, like, "Is this game okay? Is this going to be okay? Are they okay? Do I need to check on this? Do we need to check on them over there?" But then I would get an update, and it would just be all this crazy new stuff and all this crazy detail, this fluid animation. It's just crazy stuff. And then they'd go back into the hole again for 5, 6, 7 months. And then we just repeat that cycle. But now here we are finally at the end of that road. And I think it's just turned out really great. Like I said, really unique. And I think everybody's going to really like it.
The reaction to the trailer has been amazing. All positive feedback about it. Super excited. People love it. The story of Into the Pit as well. Into the Pit's probably my favourite Fazbear Fright story. So with all the positive feedback about it, what do you see for the future of FNAF spin-offs made by other studios in the future?
Oh, it's definitely a possibility. In fact, I'd really like them to start working on Fetch. I think Fetch would make a really good game after this. Some stories obviously cater more toward being a good game than others, but There's something really scary about the thought of something always being out there and kind of watching your house, and then trying to come in and do things for you. Like, this is kind of a scary thought. The thought that I might be online shopping and looking for a specific thing, and somehow something out there is hearing that and receiving that, and then gonna come to me, sneak inside and put it somewhere without me knowing that it was there. It's just a creepy scenario. It's a creepy setup. And I think it'd be a really cool game to have to stop this thing, because obviously Fetch was out doing a lot of menacing things, to have to sneak around a neighborhood and stop this thing that's sneaking around so undetected. I don't know. I think it'd be a really cool game. So hopefully that'll be the next project. We'll see.
As the friend. Franchise has grown bigger. What challenges have you faced with running a franchise of this size? Is there anything you could be doing better?
I think something I should have maybe been doing better is I should have had a better structure in place as far as people to talk to the fan base. You know, I've always kept that on myself all during the years, and in the early years, I think that worked great because it was a little indie game, a little indie community, and then me, the indie dev, just chatting with the community and talking. But as the years go by and the franchise gets bigger and bigger, I don't know. I feel like I've slowly kind of lost touch with the fan base. Unfortunately, it's not that same. It's not that same relationship that it used to be. I really used to enjoy chatting with everybody and just kind of, I don't know. And I guess that's expected because FNAF is more of a, it is more of a big, it's kind of just kind of a bigger thing now. And it's bigger than one person, and I can't just pretend like I can hop online and chat with everybody and solve everybody's problems anymore. Used to, I kind of could. I could just go in there and chat with everybody and resolve little problems as if it was like just a squabble on a forum. I can always just step in and solve it, but it's just not the same. And I think that I should have realized that sooner. And I'm really only realizing that this year, that I really need to have a better structure in place. You know, and the fan base deserves that. The franchise deserves that. The fan base deserves that, to have more people in charge and running a Twitter page and official news feeds, you know, an official news feed, so that there's not so much confusion about what's real and what's not real, and real news and fake news, and is this confirmed, is this not confirmed. You know, I could have avoided years of that if I just kind of had a better structure in place with people to listen to, and like I said, a news feed and someone else to just provide better answers to the fan base. So I'm trying to get all that in place. And I really think I think it would just better serve the fan base. I think everybody would be a little happier if it's not just me trying to jump in and straighten things out when needed.
Yeah, I think the Twitter's a great idea. We're recording this in June, but you know it was announced today. The schedule of what's coming out during that week is really exciting and really good, so people, you know, can get excited for the anniversary. They kind of know what's coming, which is really exciting. And you know, communication like that, you know, it's you know, people have really appreciated that. So thank you for doing that, and looking forward to seeing what happens next on the Twitter, what they announce. And apart from the second movie to look forward to, is there anything else you could hint at for the future? Any future titles or any little hints to get people excited for the future?
One of the good things is going to be coming from Steel Wool, but that's going to be announced here in this same week that your interview is going to air. So I think that's it. In fact, I'm not sure if it was right before this or right after this.
Yeah,
it might have been right after this.
Yesterday.
Okay. And obviously everybody knows about the movie, and right now the books are these interactive books, which I read things like that growing up, and so I'm excited about those. And I've tried to add some depth into those to where you can actually collect items in them and things like that. So it's really not just about picking a path; it's about picking a path and getting something. and then going to the other path and being able to use something. So it makes it more interesting and more intricate. But yeah, I mean, that's the plan for movies, games, and books. And I already told you my hope for the next Mega Cat game. And there is another game planned with Steel Wool, but that's not going to be announced for a while yet. So I can't talk about that. But there is something down the pipe.
Okay.
Confirmaron que hay otro juego de Steel Wool
even beyond what's being announced this week, there's something beyond, but I can't talk about that.
Yeah, so I won't spoil anything. But I read the week before, guys, and it is good. So please, check it out when it comes out. I'm looking forward to the Into the Pit one. VIP is the interactive novel VIP another one as well?
Yes, yeah. VIP it's one that I did with Scholastic, just like the others, but it's just going to be free. It's specifically for this event. I mean, I might still be included in a box set later down the road, but no, for this week, it was made specifically for this event, by the same author, I believe, as the week before. So if you enjoyed that one, you'll enjoy VIP. And I really love the story for VIP. I'm not going to ruin it, but it might be one of my favorites. So hopefully everybody really enjoys that.
That's awesome. I'm pretty sure it comes out before the interview. So
okay,
future me, if you're watching, probably loved it. There is a collab announcement tomorrow from this interview. Whatever it is, I don't.
En 2 días, el 6, porque esta se adelantó, salió un día antes y la entrevista con el anuncio de Steel Wool me imagino que se atrasó para mañana. Y bueno, la colaboración en 2 días entonces.
No, but it seems that you've been more open with collaborations with games recently, the Funko one as well. Are you more open to more collabs since we last spoke during the last interview? Would you be interested in whatever it is, I don't know, like Fortnite or Dead by Daylight? Have those popped into your head at all?
Fortnite.
I'm very careful with collaborations because I want to protect the brand and I want to make sure that Five Nights at Freddy's stays as Five Nights at Freddy's. And there are some games where even if I really enjoy the game, it just doesn't feel like a good match. It feels like a mismatch. The brand integrity is the most important thing for me, and keeping everything feeling like it belongs. And so that's really been my only hesitancy. I feel like I am branching out a little bit, and I am a little bit more open to those things than maybe I was in the early years, but I'm still very careful about it. We'll just see. We'll see how things go.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add to finish off the interview?
Let's see here. No, I mean, I think things are in a good place, and like I said, I think the things that are on the horizon are all things to be excited about, and I think that everybody's going to really enjoy. The things that the fan base really going to enjoy. And I wish I could talk about those more, but I don't feel like I can.
So do you think we're going to have another interview in 10 years' time?
It doesn't have to be 10 years. We can try to do this a little bit more often.
But what, every 5 years?
Yeah, every 5 years. There we go.
Okay. Shaking your hand.
Just make it a regular thing.
Okay, awesome. The biggest thing that everybody has been begging me for this interview when I announced it is the box. That is, everybody just wants to know anything about it because it's the biggest mystery out of the whole 10 years of FNAF, I would say. Maybe Midnight Motorist is number 2. But yeah, I'd say the box is the biggest mystery that everybody wants, like even a tiny snippet of something. Help.
Okay. Well, I can try to give somewhat of an answer to that, even though it might not be extremely satisfying for a lot of people. So I would encourage people to turn off the interview if they don't want an answer that they might not be happy with. But whenever I'm making these games, there are a lot of things that are in my head that are just flowing ideas, and when I have them and put them there, it's the first half of something. It's like a string or a rope just like reaching out, and I know that what's there on the other end
Podría
is
ser una
there.
actualización para que
I
se
trust that
abra
it's
por
there.
fin
I
la
know that
caja.
it's there. And then whenever I progress forward,
O sea, haciendo
the
alguna
rest
cosa
of
y
that
consiguiendo otras
just
cositas y abriendo
reappears. The
por
rest
fin
of
la
it
caja.
appears and just fits into place
Mostrar qué es lo
perfectly.
que
That's
hay.
all games have been made. I feel that there is something there, and I make the roads to get there for that to be revealed. But then sometimes when things do progress, the roads aren't always the same roads as the ones that had been planned before. And so what that means is, even though at the time something was definitely there, something was definitely reaching out to be there, and I could feel that it was there, the progression of the story didn't go there. And so those strings never got pulled on, and those and the other half of that idea remained in the ether, remained in my subconscious. All of that to say, there is something in the box, but I never pursued it, and I don't know if I can find it again. And I think that that's the best answer that I can possibly give for that.
Scott, thank you so much for the interview. Myself and everybody really does appreciate it. We're looking forward to the future. We're looking forward to this week. Future me is probably stressing out, playing all the demos and getting ready for Into the Pit in a few days. I'm so excited for Into the Pit. I really, really am. And all the fanverse stuff as well. My Pop Goes and The Joy of Creation, that demo. I'm looking forward to playing all of those as well and reading the new book. There's a lot in that week. I'm going to just be MIA that whole week. I've already told my friends and family, like, I'm not going to be here for the whole week. Don't call me. Don't text me. I'm going to be in this room just doing everything I can that week. And yeah, we really do appreciate it. So yeah, I think that's it. Which is really weird. That hour went so quick. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Without you guys watching the channel.
Ya se acabó la entrevista. Bueno. No, estuvo entretenida, pero tampoco dio muchas cosas sobre la historia y lo que Dios le... Bueno, hasta aquí llega el video de hoy. Espero que les haya gustado. Felito, chao, no voy a decir más nada. Chao.